everybody to Let's Chat here on Twitch. Hello, everybody. One of my favorite things is seeing everybody's amazing emotes popping in the chat. Let me see your favorite GIF emote. Let me see the animated emotes, y'all. What is your favorite? What is your favorite? I need to see it. Okay, I see some Anya. I see some, Blur. Yours needs to maybe go to the gym or like touch some grass or something. There we go. I love seeing all of that. I am John Brence, Director of Community here at Twitch. I work on many of our programs, and I'm excited today to have an amazing broadcaster joining us in conversation about their streaming journey, everything that has brought them to this point here on Twitch, and just a few things I want to shout out about them. This is an individual that has worked with Wolfgang Puck. They are a founder of our Food and Drink Club, which is an amazing initiative that's happening right now. I see some of their emotes flooding the chat right now, flipping the towel around them. They're an incredible creator, both between the food circuit on Twitch as well as the gaming. And I also got to learn that they do enjoy the occasional Power Wash Simulator, which effectively No Man's Sky is my Power Wash Simulator right now. But without further ado, the one and only Kehnara, come on in. How are you
guys? Hi, everybody. I do like No Man's Sky as well, though. I just haven't started the new expedition yet. I'll start that today.
There's so much in that game. Does anybody else out there play No Man's Sky? Because one, I got lost first, but then when I finally started getting my grounding, started building my base, and I'm like, oh my heavens, this is everything I've ever wanted in a space exploration. I'm also a huge fan of Carl Sagan. So like all the things that they used to do with Cosmos and all that, I live for. But enough about me and No Man's Sky. Kehnara.
Hi.
Introduce yourself to our wonderful audience here on Twitch.
You want me to give you my little elevator pitch?
Yeah, let's do it. I love a good elevator pitch.
So my name is Kahnara. I'm a food and drink streamer here on Twitch, and I do food and drink streams on Sundays and Wednesdays. And I am also a home food safety and preservation specialist, and I'm trained and certified at Oregon State University. I teach classes on food preservation, food safety. So anytime you're doing preservation, please don't believe anything on TikTok or Instagram. I swear those recipes are horrible. My DMs are open if you have questions about that, because it just terrifies me. And then we have Feral Fridays, and we play games on Friday, and they make me play things that sometimes I like and sometimes I don't, but we just have a good time. We have a lot of fun. This community has just been my rock, my utter rock, and my heart and soul.
I love that. I love that, like, especially when I attend your broadcast, they're a nice fusion of, there's the comfort, but then there's the fusion of chaos that starts to flow in occasionally.
It happens.
Whether you're dressed in a particular outfit or like costume, or you've got special, lights and beacons going. Also, the one stove you have behind you is iconic.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
What is that stove? Because that is like...
So that is an original 1934 Magic Chef stove. It was made, and what happens is it can work on propane or it can work on gas, because you just dial it down. It doesn't need a converter. It has only had 3 owners, and I'm the 3rd owner. I actually bought the stove from my chef instructor in culinary school back in 2010, I think it was, or 2009. I bought it from her because she had to move, and I was like, I get that. I want that in my kitchen. So she is iconic. I know that people tune in to the food and drink streams for her, not necessarily for me, because I just want to oogle the stove. And I have people say, I'm going to sneak in your house at night and steal it. I'm like, well, she weighs over 500 pounds. And that's not with all the cast iron pots and pans I have stuffed inside of her.
Oh my heavens. And then immediately you move to like putting that person on a short list of, hey mods, let's keep a watch on this person in case they try to steal it.
Let's flag this one, shall we?
Let's flag this one. No, it's the same thing that I love looking at broadcasters' backdrops, because obviously you see all of the bells and whistles that I got going behind me, whether it's my love of Earthbound, which is over my right hand here, Super Nintendo, all my Pikachu that I've collected, some even like community shared items that they've made for me. One of my broadcasters made me this cute Fortnite pillow when I promised I'd be a try-hard Fortnite broadcaster for a while. I sucked, but they enjoyed the journey. And it's one of those things that like it starts to unite us in this like shared language as soon as you see these elements on broadcast. So I love that you have the stove as a character on your broadcast. But let's go back even further in your journey to how it brought you to this point, because many of us have such a long, interesting, winding way that we end up into the broadcast circuit. And
Mhm.
so let's go back to like your university days, because you were trained in culinary arts, right?
Yes. Yes, I went to Cordon Bleu and took that entire course, and then ran my own personal chef business for about 7
Mm,
years, and then we retired and moved to Oregon, a very rural area of Oregon where there's nobody to cook for other than us. So I was like, "Hmm." And then I started my journey when we first moved up here, we didn't know anybody, we didn't know, like, the area, and so I found the Master Gardeners program and the Master Food Preservers program through what's called Oregon Extension. All state universities have an extension service, but they all offer different types of stuff. And I became fascinated with the food preservation side of it. I was like, well, there's a little click right into my culinary training. Let's take this a step further. And so I took
mm,
that class and volunteered for a while. And then I took more extensive training and more extensive training. And then I ran the program. And so I was one who was in charge training the master food preservers and setting up the courses and going through all this. But what actually brought me to Twitch was in 2020. I don't know if anybody remembers a very significant event that happened in 2020, known as COVID-19, and the world shut down. And we were all sent home. And I was
mm.
like, I had all these classes I was getting ready to do. I had all these community classes that we already had planned through, various counties within the state. And I was like, no, I have to do this. And so I started watching food and drink streamers. What did I like? What did I not like? Oh, I could do this. Never thought I could do that. Is there anybody else doing food preservation on here with the certifications that I have? And no, I'm like, there's my niche. That's where I'm going to start.
Mm.
And I went live on January 3rd, 2021. And I'm so glad I forgot to check the box that says save your VODs, because
Because-
I go back and look at some of the clips from that and I'm like, why did anybody come back? Why did anybody
right,
come back and watch my streams? But I had a mission to get food safety out there, to get food science out there, to get preservation. I wanted people to understand it's a life skill that you need to know, because when COVID hit and they shut everything down, grocery stores, everything, I was fine. I
right.
had milk. I had all my dairy because I had it freeze dried, or I had dehydrated stuff, or I had all my canned stuff. I can survive up to a year in my home without going to a store. Now, I'm not
Wow.
saying that everybody has to do that, but I live rural. If my road gets blown up, I have no way out. I have to be self reliant where I'm at for at least X amount of days. And so I wanted to convey that to people, that and no waste cooking, because food's expensive as heck right now.
And it's
So
getting worse with all the
it
tariffs
is.
and stuff. I was even just reading about soy exports. Like
Mhm.
typically we're one of the predominant exporters of soybean products.
Yes.
And from what I understand, China, with the battle happening right now with the US, they have not made any purchases. So soybean farmers are
Yeah.
now, and we're probably going to have to throw away a lot of our crop because there will be nowhere to go.
And that breaks my heart. I'm like, send some my way. I will figure out a way to do it.
I will put
Put
it in
me in,
my
coach.
home. Now you mentioned like when it comes to like TikTok executions, and obviously you're learning all these other methods of distribution. You see content out there that's
Yes.
just like, wait, what are you doing? What is the choice? And there's a lot
Yeah.
of content that exists purely for the exposure or to rile up individuals. We see
Mhm.
this on social media. We see
Yeah.
this across the board. I appreciate you, Pumpkin, for saying that. This is my actual room. This is where I live. This is, well, when I live when I'm broadcasting. So little backstory on me. I've been a broadcaster for 20 years, and Twitch decided to bring me in house, which is very interesting.
That's why
But
he has that perfect voice. Listen to his voice. It's
uh,
perfect for this.
thank you. I have a face for radio, as I've said. But when it comes to these executions you're seeing out there, what are the challenges that you see of like, I'm here wanting to share genuine information
Yeah.
about food preservation, or like, here's a recipe to be developed, when your, I guess, theorized competition is the gimmick out
Yeah.
there?
That's the hardest thing is why I'm not. I shouldn't put this out there. So I'm not doing this to manifest, but I'm surprised I'm not banned on TikTok, because I do comment in some of these. But I'm nice. I'm not mean. I'm not a troll commenter, and I never will be. I promise. But I'm like, well, that's good in theory. However, the science behind that doesn't match. And if anybody wants to know
Mm,
more, let me know. And I'm not going to correct them. the hardest thing to do when it comes to food preservation or doing things is I even had to remind my volunteers, we are not the food police.
Mm.
I'm not going to show up in a black and white unit with a mason jar, red and blue light. Wee 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 wee. You didn't
Here I
count that
am.
right.
Yeah.
You sometimes all you can do is give them the information in a concise way that makes them hopefully pause for a moment before they do whatever it is that they're whatever project they're going to be doing, and
Mm.
then come back and ask questions. You leave it open to where I'm open if you have questions. I'm you don't go on the attack. If you go on the attack, instant block ban, they're not going to want to talk with you. But if you go in with I'm here to help you make your content better.
Mm.
That's how I approach it.
So there's an interesting balance there when you're talking about this of one, I think we can apply this to all sorts of broadcasts across the
Mm-hmm.
board.
Oh yeah.
When I think of even when it comes to executions of, is it generally in my interest versus am I chasing a trend? Because a lot of people chase trends when it comes to, let's say a new
True.
game comes out. Silk Song just came out. Everybody was playing it. I know Mary on our side was playing it nonstop. And the
Yeah.
number of just like I was hearing in her broadcast was like constant. But when I think of like these types of executions, it's because she's been waiting so long for that, and it fits in with her. But others were hopping in saying, "Oh, this is the hot beat of the moment. I want to go
Right.
for it," and it doesn't really align with who they are. So there is that balance that you have to strike as a broadcaster of, do you have genuine interest? Do you have the actual ability to talk to it? I saw a fellow, actually a Mother series fan here in the chat. It's like, yeah, I could talk to you for 5 hours plus nonstop about that game and then probably do another show after it. So there, you can find those opportunities for what you care about and to not chase the trend. But when it comes to the challenge of how do I enter into a space if
Right.
they are seeking assistance or actually like needing a correction or something like that, I know there's the concept with gamers of please no backseat gaming. Like if I were to play Kingdom Hearts, I know the type of audience I'm going to attract, both lovers of the series and then the people who are telling me I'm doing everything wrong as Sora. And so how do you balance that if people were to come into your broadcast, they see you prepping something and they're
Right.
like, oh, this is how I do it. Would you be offended by that? Or I guess, how should they approach meaningfully into your space?
You know, I think it would be based on intent. So we get a lot of people if I'm talking about food preservation and food safety, it's like, "Oh, well, my grandmother did it this way and we never made anybody sick." And I said, "Well, that's a one view you can take on that, but we call that survivor bias in that maybe you never got sick. But what about somebody who, because when it comes to canned food and anything food related and food safety, we always have to watch out for people who are the elderly, children, immunity deficiencies. And there's a lot of different factors that play into that where maybe nobody in your family got sick, but did they also give a jar to their neighbor who was 78 years old, who was suffering from pneumonia, so her immunity is already down? She could have gotten sick. But you'd never know it. And a lot of people always ask this question, and, when it comes to food poisoning, is one thing for sure that there is no stomach flu. Flu is short for influenza, which is an upper respiratory issue. But if you have the stomach flu, where, we all know what happens when you get the stomach flu, 3 o'clock in the morning, right? And that's something you ate or consumed, but it's not necessarily what you had the night before. It could be something you had up to 7 to 9 days ago. Do you remember? I don't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone what I ate 6 or 7
I
days
don't even
ago.
know
I
who
mean,
I am. Like I woke up this morning, I looked in the mirror and I went, oh, who,
yeah.
what?
Who's that?
So that,
I always look at mine
yeah,
like, "Ooh, more spackle, more spackle."
that's really
I do
interesting
get
because
people in.
there's a lot of misconceptions like when it
There
comes
is.
to
There
like
is.
food or like what is causing you to become sick and stuff like that. Like I honestly, you just dropped knowledge that I now am going to take in of like, oh, I always reflect on the day before,
Yeah, or the night before. What
not
I had for dinner? Oh, it was that greasy burger. We went to that new diner and we tried those
right,
greasy burgers, and then I was sick. Well, it could have been something you ate 4 or 5 days ago that has to
right.
grow. It has to have an incubation period. I think listeria is up to 7 days of incubation.
Oh my
E.
heavens.
coli is up to 5 or 7 days. So, yeah, there's a misconnotation. So when people come in and try to backseat my cooking,
Mm,
oftentimes it's not necessarily they're backseating the knowledge of it, but they're backseating the technique. And that's the beauty of it. And I don't get upset necessarily with that. Like, oh, well, I find if I did this, it goes faster. I'm like, that's a great perspective. I never thought of doing it that way,
mm,
but I don't have maybe the same piece of equipment they have, or something like, or maybe the ingredient is slightly different and it won't work the same way. But sometimes, very rarely, thank goodness, we have I have the most marvelous mod team on the planet. I know all
And I
streamers
actually
say
see
that,
some of them here
but
in the chat. They
I,
like we got
I,
some
I
of the mod
truly
gang
do.
from you.
I just absolutely love them, because they don't take a hard line with them, because they model their actions based on who I am. I love to have that conversation with people. I
Mm,
don't want to just shut them down, because I want them to explore more and understand more. So we don't, it's like, okay, well, here's the reason why I can't do it that way. And I love that
mm.
you can do it that way, but I can't do that this way on stream right now because of X, Y, or Z. Or they'll talk about oh yeah, when we can tomatoes, we do this and whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm not, you know what, that your house, your rules. And I can only guide you and advise you, but I'm just going to give you one piece of advice: is please don't give that to children. Don't give that to anybody with an immune deficiency, or anybody who is over the age of 65 or 70 years old, just to be on the safe side. But you do
That's
you. But if you want to talk about things, we'll talk about things, you know?
I like how in your approach you're fusing not only your lived experience and your educational experience and background into the fusion of the show, but you're able to balance it with an entertainment factor, and that is difficult. That is difficult to do because oftentimes when a person says, "Oh, I'm going to approach the show in this manner," it's like one tone and it's like one in 10. It's like, I'm here to educate you. I am here to just purposely entertain you, or I am just
Hmm.
sitting, chilling, playing a game, and it's more passive viewership coming through. It doesn't have there's like that balance that you have to strike, and you're finding a fusion that works for your space. And I encourage every person who's watching right now to think about that for yourself, of like, when individuals are coming into your space, how do you let them know what the purpose of the show is, the intent of the show? Your moderation
Hmm.
team can assist with that. Which, if there's anybody from our mod club, it's growing tremendously. If you're a mod out there and you're not in our mod club and haven't got your application, get it in, because it is a great growing space filled with incredible people
Great way to
across the board.
connect.
It's a great way to connect with others. But you can form these like crews around you to help amplify that intent. And
Hmm.
that's the, yeah, AWM. We're at 4,000 members and growing in the mod club, and it's wild to see. I know you're
Hmm.
actually a part of a club as well, but you are a founder of a club, the
Hmm.
Food and Drink
Yeah.
Club.
Oh
Tell
my
me about
gosh.
what that experience is, because
I'm
I
sorry, I just get
know
all.
this is a good thing, because as Twitch, and especially like in my position at Twitch, what we're trying to do is find ways to get people to connect more, because we're so isolated to just this experience where it's chat and screen in front of me, and that's
Yeah.
kind of it. We're really just trying to encourage of like, the folks who are in the chat with you right now are your peers for the next 20, 30 years. You want to understand them, you want to know what they're going for and drive forward with them. How's that experience been in the Food and Drink Club?
I will tell you the journey of the Food and Drink Club. I first saw the tweet that went out. I actually saved the tweet. I wish I had it here for this here, but I saw the tweet go out that from Twitch, that were introducing clubs, and they were starting with the DJs and IRLs. And if you know of any other things that you think would be great for clubs, I'm like, hi, food and drink, and here's why. And so I listed all that out, and then they promoted it more, and I was always on there. Hi, how you doing over here? And I just want to let you know. And somebody responded, and it was actually Stream Nillo was the one who responded to it, and he said, "Let's talk." And I was like, "When?" Because I'm at that age, I don't take no for an answer.
That
When can we do it? I'm ready now. How about you? I mean, I was all over it. And so he set up a meeting. It was supposed to be like a 15, 20-minute Zoom meeting. Ended up being over an hour, because you can't
wow.
shut me up when I start talking about food. But they were asking very engaging questions about why I thought food drink deserve their own club. And then I didn't hear anything for a while. And then so what I started doing was every 2 weeks I would, hi, I'm so glad they didn't ban me in my emails or block me in the emails. Then
Well,
we
if you
had
were being
another meeting.
professional,
And
if you're
and
being
I was
kind and
not whiny,
professional,
but it was like,
yeah,
I let it grow, let it marinate. Let's use the word
there you go.
marinate. Let's use
Ooh,
food terms. So I just let it marinate with them for a while. And then he came back and said, I have some more questions. I want some more clarifying things, and we had another meeting. And that was right before TwitchCon. And so I had another meeting. Well, of course, then I tracked him down at TwitchCon. And then he tracked me down at TwitchCon, and we were standing in the middle of the sales floor for like an hour talking, people just swirling around us. And I wasn't tuned into any of it. I'm hearing people going, "Hey, Kahnara." And I was like, "Hi,
Yeah.
I've got to keep this person's attention right here." So we had a whole nother conversation. And then we had another Zoom meeting, and I had another Zoom meeting with, I believe, a gentleman named John. Obviously not you, but another gentleman named, and
I'm like, you didn't meet with me. Well, hang on.
yeah, I know. Oh, because I already knew you. They're all like, "No, John's biased over here. We're gonna have her meet with this John." And so I had another like an hour and a half meeting with them. And I think the turning point on that was when I said, "I want you to go into 5 discords that you belong to right now. Gaming discords, music discords, anything, but not a food and drink discord. I want you to go into any discord you have right now. And I want you to go through all the channels, make sure you show all channels, because I want you to tell me honestly and true, how many of them have a food picture category for people to post pictures of their food?" And he came back with every single one of them. I said, "What is one of the most popular channels in there?" Is food. I have it tattooed on my arm. I have it tattooed on my arm right there that says, food creates the memories that feed us. I can't see it because of my mic. I can't figure out where my mic
And
is.
it's spot on.
But that
True.
everything we do is food centric. Get a new job, you celebrate by going out for drinks or going out for dinner, meeting, welcoming a new family member, the baby's born, you take over food. You make them something so they don't have to cook for a while. Somebody passes in your life, you comfort them, and maybe you serve a meal that you shared with them, and you reminisce, and you have a celebration of life. You know,
Mm.
we share food in so much of our lives, and food and smells are the 2 things that connect the most with our brain.
Yep.
Our sense of smell is actually the only sense that is physically connected to our brain. Everything else operates through nerves. So when we smell something, it's instant like, "Oh my gosh, that smells just like, my
Yep.
Aunt Betty made for, my mom when my mom was sick, and this is wonderful." But we're instantly taken back. But you also have good
Mm.
food memories and you have bad food memories. We've had good food and we've had food that's poor quality. But so I sat there and I just kept throwing all this. I'm like, something is going to stick. And I told that John as well. I said, "Just understand, I'm not going anywhere. And this is going to happen. Sooner begun, excuse me, sooner begun, sooner done."
That.
And then they came back, and at the end, it was about the last week of May, I got the notice that, "Don't say anything. It's happening. We're announcing it June 1st." And I'm surprised you guys didn't hear me scream. I mean, that just echoed across the valley here. I mean, literally
We actually have
screamed.
a mic placed in your home, so we get the
I knew
live
it.
feed of you. Yeah. Yeah,
It was
that's the thing
crazy.
about Twitch that we'll disclose. Yeah, we have mics. No, we don't.
Mike's everywhere.
Uh,
But that that was a that was a big moment for me, because I was not given, and the community. Oh my gosh. So I started a user voice of
yeah.
why we needed a food and drink club. And I started asking the community, and my community, and then other people's communities, and then the other streamers. They were posting it when they would go live. They would have things in, like, things on their automated chat messages. Go to
Mhm.
this link, vote this up. But if you go back through that link and you read through the comments, there were times that I was brought to tears
Yeah.
because of the emotional connection that people were conveying, how
Mm.
they felt about watching food and drink streamers. It was magical.
I love
Magical.
that.
You need inspiration, you go back and you read those comments. It will bring you right back to center and go, "This is why I do what I do.
I
This is
love
my
that.
heart and soul right there."
That's what we're seeing as well with the mod club right now, with the membership coming in, about why their intent and like what
Oh,
their
I love
driving
that.
factor. And I love how you hit on some core elements of, one, we all need to eat and drink, clearly.
Mhm,
That's a factor unifier. When we have shared experiences, like I was talking about, I was a Yinzer, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and so pierogies will spark me. And then immediately Kahnara was like, "I'm working on something." And I was like, "Oh, you caught my eye, you got my,
yeah.
ears." Um, and so you want to find those connective tissue moments, because that is how you hook in your audience base in any segment of the internet. If we see Kahnara making a particular noodle dish, or if they are prepping greens, or if they are, working on certain things, audience members will attract themselves into you based on the type of execution you're doing, because they already have a
Mhm.
built connection to that property. This is, once again, for those who play games or produce music and stuff like that, we have into our DNA over years, built these loves of things. Our
Yes.
emotions are tied to properties that changed our life, are
Mhm.
tied to food or drinks that have changed our life or made it better. And so you want to think through in your own executions, what are those elements that I'm going to be showing on my show? And what makes my approach to it uniquely me? In the same way that Kehnara was saying, I'm speaking to food preservation and to proper techniques and to abilities to build that out. For yourself as a broadcaster, let's say you're playing a game, you don't want to just play the game to do the game.
Mhm.
You want to play the game to explore it in the means of which is unique to you. And if you've already done it, are you perhaps exploring it in a different way? It's like Earthbound, obviously. I've mentioned that a few times in my show for today. For Earthbound, I played that game every year since it came out since 95. I
Wow.
know the translation in the English version. So I challenged myself as part of my Japanese language learning. I'm going to play Mother 2, the original Japanese version of the game. So I played that and then I compared how the translations either match or don't match. Then I was like, can I speed run this game? So I started doing variant challenges or like randomizers and stuff like that. Just to explore it in different means is something to be thinking about for
Mhm.
your shows. And that is a way to start getting folks inbound. And it's also, yeah, as AWM highlights, it's a good way to learn another language. The best means to learn something is by trying it and not worrying about, is it going to turn out right the first time? More than likely it won't.
Exactly.
One of my
Exactly.
favorite mentors from university told me back when I was I studied directing at Carnegie Mellon. And I remember he said to me, you're playing it too safe. You're choosing projects that you know you will do great in. Choose a project that terrifies you to produce because you have no idea how you can get it on stage or
That's
no idea how to film it.
life message right there. Did I just lose
And
my
so,
mic?
oh
Oh,
no,
sorry
you're
about
working. Yeah,
that.
no,
Okay.
you're good. I want you all to think about that for yourself and for your shows about what you can do in those factors. Another part of the broadcasting experience, we talked a little bit about like audience members coming into the chat or trying to drive conversations in certain ways. There's also it's very prevalent. And honestly, oftentimes I see it lead to the concepts of burnout, especially in a live interactive space,
Mhm.
is the parasocial danger that can occur. And we talk about this obviously like on
Yeah.
panels at TwitchCon and like the relationships of which form between yourself as a broadcaster and your audience. And you slowly you start to remember the names. I remember like for folks who are here in chat, I remember if I saw you in the last show. How do you navigate that balance? And obviously you have your moderators that are assisting on this front,
Yes.
but how do you balance yourself so that way you don't become too ingrained in it?
So one thing I'm gonna take a piece of advice from somebody who's had a lot of years experience. It's okay to say no. It is
Mm,
okay to say no. It is okay to step back. And we've had things that have happened on stream. Everybody remembers October 2022, and that was a
mhm,
very traumatic incident that happened to me on stream. And but then I get the long-term drama in that I don't know if anybody here notices it, but I do have a lot of gray hair and wrinkles, so I am older. But maybe you don't notice. Maybe you don't notice. But I get a lot of people who call me grandma and mima, and sometimes they use that as a weapon. Versus, like, if you get somebody that comes in and says, "Oh my gosh, you just made this dish. I remember when my grandmother cooked that. It takes me back. This was such a lovely memory. Thank you very much." That's very positive and very wonderful. But then you get people who come in, and I don't know if they have problems with their grandmother or whatever, but they'll say, aren't you a little old to be on Twitch? Like, nope. Aren't you a little old to be in your mom's basement? But okay. And
I love that
oh,
you can
it just
the snap back at them because I
yeah.
feel the same. I've been in full creative circuit now 20 years. I've been a creative. I was full-time YouTube, full-time Justin TV, into Twitch now. But there are like the younger folks coming
Yeah.
through and they're just like, if you're over 30, oh, you've aged out. It's like, no, you haven't. In fact, I think we have
We're
all of
seasoned.
this. We're well
We're
seasoned.
seasoned. That's right. I've worked for a lot of the gaming companies and I've loved
Yeah.
it. And then people are shocked when they find out that I worked for 3DO. I worked for the CR network. I worked for the Imagination Network, which is what the CR network became. I worked for AOL. I worked for Sony. I mean, I'm not a programmer, believe me, because the technology, I told John earlier when we started, I want the NASA technology, but with a Fisher
Yes.
Price interface, because some of the stuff just confuses the heck out of me. And I love the people who help me try and figure this stuff out because I get confused. But there's this connotation of they come in with the grandma and the Meemaw, and you're too old to be here and whatnot. And usually I've had a conversation with a couple of people. And I'll tell my mods, don't ban. And I have a conversation. And I say, would
Mm.
you, if my husband walked into your house right now and said those words to your grandmother sitting on your couch right now, and vicious like that, I would hope that you would sock him right in the nose. But yet you
Mm-hmm.
think it's okay to come here and do that to me, because if this is how you're going to enter people's chat, you're going to have a very lonely time on Twitch because nobody's going to want you around. So
Yeah.
you choose. You're at a crossroads right now. You choose. And then
I
sometimes we
like
just have to ban them anyway.
I'm no, I like that reflection moment that can be tossed back into like folks' plate if they come in
Yeah.
aggressive or stuff like that,
Yeah.
is to have them reflect on like, are you okay? Do you need to like
Yeah.
take some time for yourself and like maybe step out of chat and maybe,
Yeah.
think for
The one
yourself
thing
for
they
a little
do,
bit?
though, is that they assume that I am the grandmotherly figure. And because we were
Mm,
talking about this earlier before we got started, was my chat rules of no trauma, no drama dumping. And I had
mm,
one person come onto my stream, and this was a trauma dump in which I'm live, I'm streaming, we're having a good time, we're laughing. Matter of fact, I think there was a hype train going on to tell me that a friend of mine had passed away. And I was like,
mm.
I mean, it shakes you. It like boom, it stops you in your track. It can completely derail your stream. So be prepared for weird stuff like this. Take the
Yeah,
moment, go AFK, put your BRB stream up real quick, get a drink of water, refocus, put a smile on your face because your whole perspective changes. Look at yourself and smile, and come back and say, "Okay, we're back, and I will speak with you later." And then you
yeah,
go right back into it. But I get people who come in and will do the drama dumping, or I get Discord messages at the end of stream. So I want to talk to you because I'm having a problem with my mom. I am not your therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I mean, I can give advice for days, but it may not be the right advice. So I
that,
can't guide you down that journey and down that path, but I can point you in the direction of people who can help you.
yeah,
And you have to be okay with saying no. And they may walk away, but I'm not everybody's therapist. I'm here to entertain. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to share my knowledge of food, good, bad, or otherwise, uh,
no, but
with the
you're
world.
you're nailing a good point that I hope that all the folks in chat who broadcast as well take to heart. This concept of setting the proper boundary for yourself will
Mhm.
help you so much in the long run when it comes to the sustaining of a career. If you want to pursue this as a career, if I didn't initially, like, and this is something I learned in university, is you never read the reviews, especially if you put up a show.
True.
Never read the reviews because, and I know I in some of the talks I do with the guild stuff, I reference Brene Brown and how she talks about the man in the arena, which is the concept of unless a person is actually in the thick of producing in the same manner you are, and they're shouting from the sidelines, you can choose whether or not you want to listen. Because the people who are actually
Mhm.
in the arena with you, that's who you need to be listening to,
Exactly.
and taking the advice from and thinking through. So it's good to set those boundaries initially. And then when it comes to the additional separation for yourself, I know we were talking right before we came on broadcast about
Mm.
how you shut off effectively at a certain time. You
I
purposely
do.
remove yourself from this
I do.
technological overload that we are currently experiencing, where
Mhm.
devices are always shouting for us to,
Mhm.
pick up the app or check this thing. And I know people will they'll pick it up quick because it releases dopamine or serotonin and it gives them that
Yep.
rush of, oh, what am I going to discover next?
I'm
You
needed. I'm
can't.
needed.
I'm needed somewhere,
Yeah.
but how do you for yourself like post show, post broadcast,
Mhm.
step away?
So it's interesting. This actually started back in 2008 when I
Mm,
was I was a GM for Sony on EverQuest, and started playing at that time. Was that when the beta started for the other game? Anyway, and I was on there playing games and what, and I would get so focused on the game that I would forget about my own family.
mm,
And I remember there was something that was happening. It was intense, and I remember going, "Not now," to my daughter, who's 5 years old, and I instantly it resonated with me. I turned off the computer.
mm,
I walked away and spent time with her. And it's been since then that about 8 o'clock at night, Discord goes off. Twitch, I turn everything off. If I need time to focus, like if I'm doing research, I might play a game that doesn't involve anybody else. It's just me and like Power Wash Simulator, something like that, where I'm just, and all of a sudden, because you distract your own brain, things focus in. But I learned a long time ago that when you mentioned the dopamine, is that video games, the constant affirmation from chat, whether it's positive or negative, we crave, and it's a form of addiction. And you have to set limits for yourself. It's the healthiest thing you can do. Is I challenge everybody. I kid you not. At first, when I first started streaming, it was different. I was like, go, 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 because I had goals. I had goals that I knew what I wanted to make partner, and I wanted to make partner in a certain time. And so you go and you go and you go. But after time, you're going, and now you're on autopilot. You're not going for the joy of going. You're not going with unique content. You have put yourself on autopilot to do, say, do, and you lose yourself in that moment. So I always tell people, take a week off. Step back. I told John the slogan that's on my Discord right now is IRL before URL, because you need to take care of yourself. If you don't, you're going to have burnout so bad that you may not recover and come back to it. And that burnout, by the way, doesn't affect just you. It affects your family. It affects your coworkers. It affects how you eat and what you eat. It affects your sleep, everything in the most negative way possible, because everything should be done in moderation. Gluttony of social media is just as bad of gluttony eating chocolates and candies. It's the same type of thing. You're feeding something that does not need to be fed with that, but with something else. So the term of touching grass is legit. And I don't mean go out and just put your hands on the grass. Go outside and go for a walk, but don't wear your earbuds and listen to music. How many birds do you hear? How many different bird calls do you hear? Do you hear traffic? Was it motorcycles? Was it cars? Was it trucks? Did you hear an airplane? Did you hear kids playing over there on the playground, laughing and just having a good time? Did you pause in that moment to enjoy their joy without lurking and looking like a lech? But
well, you don't want to camp out at a place where you be mindful, internet. You're saying gems, and I really hope that everybody here takes to heart the IRL before URL concept in a portion of their life, to find inspiration in the greater ecosystem. It isn't grind. Now, granted, you will hear that from tech CEOs or, people trying to make the buck and stuff like that, of like, you got to do the grind. Well, they want you to do the grind because they want you in the ecosystem only doing the grind. There's a balance to creative execution, whatever means that is, that you have to find inspiration and then bring your story that you want to tell to the stage when you think it's appropriate. When it comes to the consistency, and this is a good question for King of Blades, remaining consistent because of all the growth, sustainability, reward across the internet. Now, you'll hear from social media services like upload 6 TikToks a day or do this, do that, da-da-da-da-da. They want you to feed their algorithm. That's what that request is coming from. It's not coming from a place of, this is going to be good for you. It's going to be good for them. And so for yourself, you have to think in terms of sustainability of, how much creative output can I provide? How much available time do I have to ingest into a broadcast? I've mindfully adjusted my show to be 3 hours maximum. So those are things that I'm doing to ensure that I balance myself and my energy, and I'm able to continue creating. It's very interesting too, when we're thinking about like the concepts of burnout. It can be impacted by others trying to place their will onto you. So like, for example, there's Grugenvids here who's been trying real hard to get things through, calling us noobs and stuff like that. I'll deny your message every time, dude. Why tattoos? Because this tells my life story, and this has opened so many doors to me, and some of these have been my sponsors that have paid for my career. It's something of which I bet you wish you had. And so when we think of like where to balance our energies, you want to think about, how much can I give? There's like spoon theory. I'm sure like some people talk about spoon theory, for example. How many spoons do I have to give today? How many pieces of content can I produce this week? How many broadcasts can I put out? And what is my intent behind the broadcasts? And so think
Mhm.
for yourself, what is that sustainable for you? And that is perfect. When I think of a great channel like Critical Role, their main show was the Thursday nights. And that was their main driver for many years. And so that's something to think about. When it comes to your future, Kehnara, when you're thinking about what you want to introduce the space next, what is on your radar and what do you want to see come forward for your shows, for yourself, for your career?
Okay, so you know what they always say? The only opportunity you're gonna miss is the shot that you don't take.
That
So take your shot, right? So this my next goal is a personal accomplishment for me. I don't know if the community could help me with it, and if there's a way the community can help me, believe me, I'll find out and I'll use them because they're wonderful. Is my next goal, my next thing that I think would be absolutely wonderful is to make ambassador on Twitch. I
mm,
bring food knowledge, my food science. I bring a life skill to Twitch in a way that engages people to want to do better in their own culinary journey or launch their culinary journey. And I'm not necessarily talking culinary school. I've got people that I've shown how to meal prep, and they're like, "Wow, I came back and this helped with my. I don't spend as much time now freaking out making lunches and all this kind of stuff because of watching one of your shows." And one of the biggest ones that I do is my emergency bug out bag that we are going to be doing later on this month. So I will have that posted. And I've had people come back to me and say, I made a bug out bag because of watching your stream. And because of your bug out bag, I made it through a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake. And and that resonates. And so that's something that I want to focus on more. And I think as an ambassador, and I don't know, but I get the thought process here of I if I make ambassador, I think I would probably be the oldest ambassador because I don't see a lot of representation of 55 and older. And for those that want to know, I don't tell my age, but I am 60 plus plus.
they are Gen
I will,
Alpha. Okay. They are Gen
yeah,
Z, Gen Alpha.
yes.
No, but what you're hitting on is
There's a lot of us
there
out there that I could represent.
there's a lot there's because if you think of the origins of the internet and with content creation and everything to be disseminated and effectively how we approach Twitch, Twitch is for everyone who has a story that they want to share and a community that they want to build.
Yes.
Obviously, if, as long as they don't violate TOS and make choices in life and all that type of stuff. But
True.
that's the core of what we
Hmm.
stand for. And it's ageless, regardless of like your demo, your identity. You have an opportunity to build a space that
Yes.
is meaningful for others to step into. I love like the mission regarding like the bug out bag because
Hmm.
all of us are at some point in time potentially at risk for an emergency.
Be
And
prepared, not
ensuring
scared.
be prepared, not scared. Now you don't need, 50 buckets of the I remember like back in the days
No,
the evangelical like corn soup they would sell. But like you don't need to go to that extreme, but
no,
being
no.
prepared generally for yourself, for your career, for your family is something to really like think of for yourself. And it
Yeah.
also the preparedness and some of this prep that we're talking about, it can apply to food. It can also apply to your content. Bulk
Yes.
shoot your content. If you are wanting to do a daily upload to an Instagram or a TikTok or share clips from your Twitch channel, bulk it into a period of time, edit for a period of a few hours in your evening, and that way you could be set for a year if you
Yeah.
wanted to. Like I usually bulk shoot all of my content for YouTube on 1 week trip. I bulk shoot for 6 months of releases. So 1 week has now saved me 6 months of potential headache.
Hmm.
And
I
so
do the
there
same
are
thing with
opportunities of
food,
these things.
with my food streams.
So
I have a on my calendar. I have all. This is what I'm cooking this day. This is what listed all of because then you don't stress over it.
that's right.
And if you don't stress, you have fun. And
Mm,
that conveys. If you don't have that stress, you're worried about what you're going to cook or what you're going to play as a game or what you're going to be doing next. That stress, they'll know it. They'll sense it. They'll feel it.
mm,
You know, and I wanna have fun with people. I like having
that's right.
fun.
That's right. Is there, I guess, like a core gem? Obviously, we talked through like the creation journey, your intent, your focus, how you approach broadcasts, how to navigate parasocial or potential dangerous, relationships that can occur and how to navigate that. I mean, even that with Noisy Gin, yeah, it was a great note when you have 4-year-old twins. Yeah, doing the prep work and getting ahead of things helps you with the unknowns that could happen with the
Yep.
twins. Um, what would be your recommendation? And I think I'll actually tie it to this question from Antics. How to
Okay.
gain traction from your platform. So from the service of Twitch,
Okay.
how do you think a person can best position themselves for
Oh,
gaining
that's a good
traction
question.
in what they do?
I will say, we always talk about networking, network, 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 and it's how you do networking. And I learned that from my dad, of all people. Of all people, I learned that from my dad because when he retired, he became a travel agent. And it's getting to know like-minded communities, right? So like I can network with anybody, but networking at first was really my growth within the food and drink community because I knew that's what I was going to be conveying and talking with people, never once promoting myself. It wasn't until later when somebody says, "Are you a streamer too?" And I was like, "Yes." "Well, what do you stream?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm here for your channel. No, let's talk about it." And through that, because it's not going to all happen overnight. You have to take the time to grow your community. You have to get to know other communities and outside of those communities. So I'm in a lot of DJ streams that I hang out in because I love their music and they have a good time, and they encourage people to come over and also working with other people. But you've got to put yourself out there. You can't just turn on the camera and assume that people are going to come in and watch your channel, no matter how popular the game is that you're playing, no matter how good the music is that you're playing, unless people know you're there to either come over and visit or bring a potential raid over. And then make sure that you greet people. And for heaven's sakes, talk, smile. I smile a lot. I laugh a lot. That's what all these wrinkles are from all my laughing. But is talking. I see so many people, whether it's a game, cooking, sewing, I don't care what it is, dead silent. They don't have
Yeah,
music in the background, but dead silent. And I come in, "Hey, how's it going? What are you making?"
and
And they,
nothing.
and they look over and they're like, "Oh, I'm just working with some clay." And I'm like, if there's
That's
not
not
going to
gonna
be a give and
work.
take, I was like, okay, so we're working with clay. What kind of clay? And what
Yeah,
color is it? What are you making? And like, I should not, as the creator, have to pull, not the, I should not, as
as the
the
viewer.
viewer, have to pull the creative from you. You're the creator. You're here to entertain me. If you're here just because you just want to make clay or something like that, well, that's great, but
Okay, but don't
don't get
expect
mad.
growth.
Yeah, don't get mad. Nobody watches my channel. Nobody follows me, or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But smile, laugh, talk like there's all of a sudden. If I had nobody in there and I'm cooking, I'm like, okay, so let's cook up this stuff. But remember, out there in the cosmos, because that's the only people who are listening right now, we don't wash our chickens. Okay, let's get back in the kitchen and get the cooking up stuff. I will talk like there's nobody there. And
Yeah.
then people will pop in. I remember my first stream, I think I had 5 people watching my
Mm,
stream. But and then I get people who say, "Well, how do you talk to people like if you get like a lot of people?" It's like, "Well, I've done classes where I've got 1,000 people sitting in an
yeah.
auditorium, and I just
But you have
I
a
just talk
rubric
to
going
them."
into it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
when you go into a lecture setting or when I'm doing a show like this, you go in with an intent of like, here's what my show structure is. I know what we're going to be
Yes.
hitting in terms of beats and all that. I'm prepared going into the show, knowing that there won't be the dead space, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
so that's something to really like think for yourself of like, am I stepping up to the plate if I want to be, growing as a broadcaster? And
Mhm.
so that is something that you want to think about. I'll actually respond with this, like from Bo. Like when you think of followers,
Mhm.
follower count doesn't matter. Internet follower count does not matter when it comes to actual success. And this is why I want to say this: is so much of our business is getting on this concept of okay, a follower is one person at one point in time who liked a button or pressed a button on your channel, and that's it. It's like a clicker walking into a club. It's not actually the means of support that you maintain on your broadcast or how much you make externally with the relationships of which you've fostered professionally in the business. So like the connections, as Brofar just said here, connections mean more than a follower count. There was also a very interesting experiment that Ludwig, popular broadcaster, many people know Ludwig. Obviously, they create across many mediums at this point, hugely successful, right? He did a test where he's like, I want to go live on a new channel, not promote it, playing a game and see if it works. He had 0 viewers. And that's a person with established talent who has found success. It doesn't necessarily translate to the potential success in the future for him. And then, like, it took him a long time. He was doing it for a long period of time. So it's something to think about for yourself of what matters more to me, actual sustaining in a greater industry or chasing a follower count that you literally have no control over.
That's true.
What matters
See, for
more is
me, the
engaging a
follower,
base.
for me, the follower is always just a personal, it's just a personal goal. It's not like my aim of like, oh, I
It's a
have to
random
have this.
metric.
It's like, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be kind of cool to have over there. But to have people who are there engaging with you, talking with you, you're reaching out to them and talking with them. That's huge. That is
Right.
absolutely huge to me. I see people like I have my goal up right now. Hey, when we hit 9,500, and when we hit 10,000 followers, I have to get my logo thing here. This is
Yeah.
my little logo thing. I have to get this tattooed on my arm,
Yeah, there we go.
you know, type thing. It'd be something kind of fun. But
Yeah.
you want to have people there. But if they don't know you're there, they're not going to come in. You have to sell
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You have to have your elevator pitch. So if you
Mm.
get a rate of even 1 person, 2 people, or 1,000 people, you welcome those people in. Tell people about yourself. What are you doing? Why are you here? What's going on? What's happening? Make them excited. Get
There's a
them
more interesting
ready.
relationship to be built there, and there's actually a metric that I recommend for any broadcasters out there to look at engaged viewers on your
Mhm.
dashboard versus your concurrent viewership, because there are individuals with a lot of concurrent viewers, no chatters. There's a
Yeah.
lot of individuals who maybe have a lot of concurrent viewers, no conversion when it comes to subscriptions, paid support, etc. So look at the engaged viewer metric as probably a more dominant metric on that side, because when, to the point of like Mel just highlighted here, engagement is what sponsors are looking for. And I saw the mention regarding like the greater industry. I know like in casting for Hollywood right now, they look at like follower count, but follower count doesn't equal conversion.
True.
Like there's people who have millions of followers on Twitch, average concurrent viewership of 5,000. Hell, on my YouTube channels, I have over 12 million subscribers on a collective of my YouTube channels. Does it translate directly to Twitch? No, because it's a different offering.
Mhm.
And so there's different ways that you approach the business, but really start thinking about what is the data that matters to you personally. And it could be the
Mhm.
follower count, and it could be, yeah, the celebrity power, you know, level, basically equivalent of like it's over 9,000. But you want to think for yourself, what is the data that actually matters to me? For me, what matters more, and this is after 20 years of doing this, is the relationships of which I foster. Are there opportunities for me to build that relationship into some greater execution of content? Like right now, I'm working on a movie. It'll be my 3rd feature to work on. So more important is like the relationships I'm forming with that, the conversations that are had on a regular basis. That's more important to me in the current ecosystem, but it's not for everybody. Some people like to just chase the number, but here's the problem: the number is always going to go up,
And
and you'll
down.
never be satisfied when you're chasing. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Our careers are this. If you choose this as a
Always up and
path, you're going
down.
to have huge
Yep.
peaks, you're going to have valleys, you're going to have points where you're like, I've plateaued. It happens to everybody. Look at any major celebrity. Are they always on top?
Nope.
The answer is no, they aren't, because of some other factor. So
Mhm.
just really think about this for yourself and what matters to you most. I'll actually ask Kahnara, what do you think is the most important thing for you when it comes to your shows?
Engaging with having that connection with my community and knowing
Right,
that they're engaging me just as much as I engage them, whether it's
right.
through the chat or whether it's through the Discord when they're posting things or they're, you know, hey, I just did this recipe. I'm like, what? I've never seen that before. I've got to try this. And it's a give and take. Even as a
Mm,
streamer, as a content creator, you are not the only one that matters because you can't be that content creator without them.
mm,
You'll just be, you might as well just talk to a wall at that point because you're having the same type of engagement. You have to care about your community if you want them to care about you. because if you don't give them, as that's I've always said, if I can't give you guys 110%, I won't go live, because
Right.
that's not fair to you, because your time is valuable. When you tune into one of my streams, and I try to keep them at 3 hours, but let's face it, you take a 45-minute dish and chat, and you end up with a 6-7 hour day, because that's
Mm.
just the way it goes. But if you're not as much a part of them as they are a part of you, it's a give and take. But you've got to find that balance. You can't give up all of yourself.
That
You cannot give. Matter of fact, right now I'm redeeming a hydrate for everybody, because I know you're not drinking enough water.
actually, that's true. And I know you have your hydration mechanism, the nice Twitch
I have
branded.
my hydration right here.
Hashtag not sponsored. And then I have my giant leader as my regular. So hydrate, internet.
Everybody hydrate.
That's your
Everybody
reminder.
hydrate.
And it's good for your health. It's good for your voice, especially as broadcasters.
Oh my
There's
gosh, yes.
no other career out there that requires this amount of on time
Yeah,
for
that is
your
true.
voice and all that, and you have to protect yourself in that manner.
So when COVID shut everything down, I was sent home in March, like mid-March of 2020. They sent us home, and so here I am at home. I live in a rural area where you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't hang out anymore. You know, restaurants closed, everything closed. And then I decided to start streaming in January of 2021. And after that stream, which I did the wrong stream, but that's the past. We learn, we grow, and the next day, my throat was raw because I wasn't drinking enough water on stream, and I wasn't used to talking that much. I had to completely retrain my vocal cords and everything else. So hydration, hydration, hydration.
100%. 100%. And so with that, I want you to choose somebody from the food and drink category. If there's anybody live that you know
What?
that I
Hang
want
on,
us
let
to
me go
rate out
look.
to, I know I'm calling you out on the side here, and you can DM me if you want to
Hang
on
on.
Discord.
Oh my
If
gosh, they
anyone
will
is live.
probably. No, hang on. I've got a lot of people that I follow.
We got a lot of people
A
there.
lot of people that I follow. I'm trying to. I was hoping to find. And if you guys are do food and drink, like maybe one time a week, maybe once a month or whatever, we have a great club. Okay,
Make
we
sure
are
you
going to go.
join.
Wait, how do I? Hang on. Can I just DM you on Discord?
Yeah, just DM it to me on Discord, and then I will set it
Okay.
up on this side. Here's the fun of always doing
gonna
multi
freak
things
out.
with productions, y'all. But I think it's going to be a great raid out. And my rule of thumb when we send raids out, and I always tell this to my chatters when I'm doing my shows, is just send the love on. Your favorite emote, heart emojis, whatever it is, send it out there to the world and let them know that you appreciate them and everything they do.
Okay, I just sent it to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me take a look-see here.
Yeah, go check
Oh,
it out first.
Chef John Leung. Tell me
Yes.
about Chef John.
Oh my gosh. So Chef John Leung is based out of Canada, and he and his family are from China. And he was also on Master Chef Canada when they did. I think it was their first season when they did that. But he taught me how to make dumplings. I taught him how to make kimchi. That was one of my first collabs that I did. I did with him. He's vivacious. He's funny. He loves what he does so much with such vigor that
Love that.
you can't help but smile when you're over there. You just can't help it.
I love it. All right, chat. So before we close out, I want to thank the one and only Kahnara. Thank you for coming
Thank
on
you for
today's show.
having me. I'm just so excited.
Lots of incredible wisdom shared, and I really hope some of y'all took some of the notes while we were talking through all these things. Obviously, if you're interested in any of our clubs, we have many great clubs that are operating. We have our Twitch Unity guilds for moderators. We have our mod club that is
Women's
growing
Guild.
incredibly. So please join us in those spaces and continue to join us here on /Twitch or /Twitch. I'm not sure. It's one of the slashes Twitch for future conversations. And you'll be live on Wednesday.
I'll be live on Wednesday. Come see the stove on Wednesday.
Perfect. Make sure you toss the love to Kahnara. And for everybody out there in the internet, we are prepping the raid out. I am starting the process.
Raiders, please hold hands. Okay. And remember that your fellow raid buddy can be used as a flotation device in case of a water raid landing. And in case of an emergency, lights will illuminate along the floor, leading you to the nearest pantry.
Kahnara is pursuing a future career working on airlines as well, everybody. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, even better tomorrow. And we will see you next time, everybody. Thank you so
Bye,
much for
guys.
watching.
Bye.
Let's raid out. We'll see you soon, everybody. Take care. Bye.